Thank you for joining. Thank you for being such a wonderful community of people who care for and preserve castles and manors. Something I truly appreciate. And it is simply wonderful that we have these opportunities to come together. Not only to meet and talk, but also to genuinely gain more knowledge together.
The daily life of Duke Mykolas Oginskis was largely shaped by his personality traits, inherited but actively nurtured by his family, as well as by his status, traditions, interests, and values. At this conference of the Lithuanian Castles and Manors Association, the discussion focused on the daily life of the Oginskis Manor, a noble family that stood out among the nobles of that era for its particularly active social, cultural, and patronage activities. This understanding is especially important for those working in manors to gain a deeper insight into manor life.
In the first case, we would consider the manor as history, a more objective and accurate representation of the past. In the second case, we would view the manor as memory. One type of this is communicative memory, which is connected to directly lived experiences. This is not the history or past we read about in textbooks, but what we have personally experienced and passed down from generation to generation. The memory we are discussing today lasts about 80 to 100 years and spans 3 to 4 generations because it is not recorded anywhere. It is transmitted orally within families and eventually fades away. Essentially, we have the last opportunities to engage with this living phenomenon and to see the manors from a different perspective, that of local community memory. Here, we will try to understand how communities perceive and value the heritage of the manors, and how that understanding influences certain behaviors toward the manors. Manors are a widespread heritage in Lithuania, and communities in one way or another come into contact with this heritage. It was interesting to explore how contemporary local, village, and town communities interact with the manor heritage that still exists near them.
It's fascinating to see how people process information, how they learn, what impresses them, and how to make sure things stick in their memory. Many of you have probably attended various tours and conferences, and if you ask someone a month later what they remember, only a few small details come to mind. Today, I want to remind you of those small details, perhaps to inspire you, and maybe some of you are hearing about them for the first time. My goal is to help us create memorable experiences so that people talk about your sites, manors, castles, or other places. How do stories fit into this, and how can we incorporate them into the experiences we create for people? I'm giving you a very simple framework, and you'll see that practically everything, from movies and books to various experiences, is based on it. We need 3 elements to build a story arc. The first element, heroes. We need a problem, conflict, challenge, some kind of drama. Something has to happen to the hero. And finally, a resolution or change. What happened and how the hero managed to overcome or solve that challenge. People enjoy seeing pictures. For example, the manor looks like this today, but 100 or 80 years ago, it looked like that. Let's look at the differences, and maybe even pass the picture around among people. Look, I'll show a graphic. You might have seen something like this before in your life. Who has heard the idea that words and content make up only about 10% of the impression people get? Body language, voice. It's great that you agree, eye contact, and overall our shared enthusiasm have a huge impact. We'll talk about both guests and your team. This is almost equally, I would say, important.
Na, aš išskyriau tokius
I have identified 3 main elements we should focus on when trying to create the best possible experience for our guests visiting our manors and castles. These 3 elements are people, hospitality, and stories. When we talk about people, we need to consider both the guests themselves and our team, as all hospitality begins with the team. If we have a strong, capable team, we can create a high-quality, attractive cultural tourism product. Hospitality encompasses everything we do together with our team for the guests, and stories are also crucial. How we tell the stories about our heritage is very important. I recommend calling everyone who visits you guests. They are our guests. It doesn't matter who they are, tour participants, whether they stay, eat, or do something else. They are guests to us. The word guest carries a meaning that we want to offer them the very best. Castles and manors are incredibly important places, both in the context of tourism and cultural heritage. Here, several important things come together: the history of our region and country, the paths of significant personalities who, in one way or another, shaped our nation's history and the history of specific locations. It is also important not to overlook nature. Manors are usually situated in very beautiful natural settings, so tourists and travelers can find everything they need all in one place.
Well, I think this project implemented by the Lithuanian Castles and Manors Association is very important because it brings together manor managers and people who revive manors for the public. In fact, there is great public interest and people want to experience manor life and get to know it. Indeed, research, cooperation among manors, and sharing experiences are very important. I believe this project will significantly contribute to the quality promotion and dissemination of manors.
I believe that such events are truly very important, bringing together manor and castle managers from all over Lithuania to exchange experiences, communicate, and also listen to presentations. I think the event program was very thoughtfully put together, covering not only the content that manors and castles hold, their heritage and history, but also how to engage with guests and tell stories. I also think it's wonderful that we step outside the big cities. With all due respect to them, many people visited Šilutė for the first time today, or visited the Šilutė Manor for the first time. That is also a very significant aspect.
This event is part of the international project called the Baltic Manor ROUTE. It is truly a meeting with the community and enthusiasts, for whom our lecturer's knowledge is intended. We also touched on a historical retrospective and discussed hospitality, how to improve it, and how to attract visitors so that the manors become close and inspiring. I want to invite everyone interested in cultural heritage, our country, and our history to simply visit the manors, learn their unique stories, and become enthusiasts of our manor community